Hello and welcome to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video we'll be answering the question, where should a comma go within a comparison? A comparison helps us judge the similarities or differences of something or someone. For example, the suitcase is lighter than that suitcase. The comparison that we can find revolves around the word than, and I'm considering which suitcase is lighter. But it would be incorrect to split the part of the sentence which holds one part of the comparison apart from the other with a comma. So it would be wrong to use this sentence. The suitcase is lighter, comma, than that suitcase. By putting a comma before than, I'm splitting apart the suitcase that's lighter from the suitcase that isn't lighter. And each part of that sentence doesn't make sense on its own. We don't use a comma before than when we are making a comparison. That's largely because it can confuse the reader. Let me take my next example. It would be wrong to say, going to the cinema is more expensive, comma, than buying DVDs. Instead, I shouldn't be splitting either part of my comparison up with a comma. I should instead say, going to the cinema is more expensive than buying DVDs. This may be the case, but without the comma, it's more clear to follow as a reader, or as someone reading that sentence aloud to express it clearly. Now it's your turn. For each of the sentences, consider if the comparison makes sense as it is, or whether you need to change how it is written. Hit pause if you need thinking time. So, how did you get on? The car is faster than the bus. That is true both in sentiment and how it's crafted. We don't need to split either part of this sentence because the comparison using the word than is clear enough. So this is correct. Her hair is conditioned more than mine. In that case, you probably need to wash it more. But anyway, this is also correct. I know from the sentence that her hair is more conditioned than the speaker's. But I also know that it's useful not to have a comma, because if I were to split either of that part of the sentence, be that her hair or mine, it would be very hard to follow. So this is also correct. Grant is slower than, comma, the tortoise. Now, as you may already realise, we don't split comparison with a comma. So even if Grant is slower than the tortoise, I must remove the comma. It should instead read, Grant is slower than the tortoise. The original sentence in blue, however, is wrong. A pound of feathers is no more than a pound of gold. This is true. In exact weight terms, that's the case. But it's confusing when we separate a pound of feathers from the thing compared, a pound of gold, using a comma after than. So that is incorrect. The sentence instead should read, a pound of feathers is no more than a pound of gold. And finally, a jump is more than a step. This sentence is correct because the comparison between a jump and a step has not been conflicted with a comma. So the simple grammatical rule for comparison is you don't need to split it with a comma. That's simple to remember but hard to retain when writing a list of comparisons. It's worth remembering that this grammatical rule can be applied in any context. So when comparing, you do not need a comma. Why not subscribe to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar for all things English, literary and grammatical?